Just welcome to the podcast, Dan.
Good to be here.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
How do I pronounce your last name?
Last name's Lastovica, so that's not a common last name in New Zealand. There's only my family. It's Czechoslovakian or Czech. Most people always are like, oh, where's that from? And I usually just give them a wee backstory on it. So back after World War II, my granddad was effectively working between Italy and the Czechoslovakia at the time during the Iron Curtain. And one day he decided he didn't want to live under communist rule anymore. So instead of going back home, he hung on in Italy for a little bit and walked across the country, got to Rome, and jumped on one of the 4 boats that they had on offer. And the 4 different countries they could choose to go to was the USA, the UK, New Zealand or Australia. And yeah, he wound up taking New Zealand, and then here we are a few years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Bit different.
That's it's just an interesting thing that we are only 1 or 2 generations away from World War II and just a totally different way of living.
Yep.
None of these, hardly even electricity. There's a lot has changed in a short amount of time.
It's evolved a lot, and I'm pretty glad for it as well, to be honest. However, it's very easy for us to forget what that sort of stuff was like for our grandparents and great-grandparents. And a lot of people probably take for granted a bit how good we do have it in this day and age, which is a shame. Yeah,
I guess it gives us the opportunity to do hard things in other ways. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. You're no stranger to that.
No, I'm not. I do enjoy doing a few different hard things.
Yeah.
So currently I'm working on a Movember fundraiser called Project Beyond the Ranges, which is a self-made challenge where I'm going to be swimming across Lake Tekapo, so 5K across Lake Tekapo. In probably 6 or 7 degree water, then jumping out of the water, trail running over the Two Thumb mountain range. So it pretty much will follow the Te Aroa Trail up through Royal Hut, Stone Hut, Crooked Spur Hut, and then popping out at the Mesopotamia station at the end of the road on the Rangitata River. And after that is a 200k road bike back to hunting and fishing here in Christchurch, which will be pretty cool. That's going to take a while, so definitely going to be a big challenge and thoroughly looking forward to it.
Wow. How long will it take roughly?
I've worked out it should take about 20 hours to get from woe to go right through the whole process. So
wow.
Yeah, it's going to be big and cold.
Are you doing it solo?
The goal is to do the whole thing solo. I've got a couple of friends who'll jump in for different parts of it. So I've got a friend, Clay, who's coming down from Auckland to join in on the swim.
Yep.
He just posted a 4K swim yesterday up there in some nice warm 15 degree water. And then I've got a friend from the Canadian military who's just moved over to Wellington for a job here. And he'll be coming down for the trail run. And then I'll just have support vehicles for the bike. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
And hunting and fishing, are they involved in it somehow?
Yeah, so I've just been speaking to them before I came and caught up with you, and they've just jumped on board. So I've got them, Hunter's Element, and NZ Outdoor Magazine, who are all supporting this Movember fundraiser. So Hunting and Fishing is going to provide a couple of support boats for the swim, and then I'll finish up at their store here in Christchurch, where they'll have like a sausage sizzle going on and everything at their store, as well as encouraging people to donate to my Movember page for it as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, wow. Really, really cool.
Hey, quick interruption. When I'm not podcasting, I'm working on growing alt and working with clients as my main role as a business coach. Right now, I'm looking to meet more fellow business owners. The reason is simple. The more people I know, the more value I can bring, whether it's through coaching, the podcast, or just connecting good people. If you're based in Christchurch, let's grab a coffee. If you're further afield, let's jump on a call. Now, let's get back to the episode.
For me, Movember is more about men's mental health, and 3 out of 4 suicides in New Zealand are men, and that's definitely an underreported statistic. And I've got a lot of friends who deal with mental health issues in their own right. So men need a lot more support than what we give them credit for, and that doesn't just have to be for people who might be suicidal. It can be your friends who are struggling with work. We as men are pretty bad at giving each other praise when it comes to doing a good job, and we're expected to just perform constantly, no matter what role we're in, and not either reward success or any other form of recognition for the hard work that men are going through, which can lead to a lot of men really struggling with a sense of purpose. So it's something that I've become pretty passionate over the recent times, helping young men find ways to either give themselves a bit more purpose and let them know that it's okay to reach out and talk to their friends if they are struggling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a real interesting topic, and it's obviously multi-dimensional, and it's very nuanced, and it's a real tough one, especially hearing those stats. And there's a outrageous number as well, right?
Yeah.
Is it 617 or something?
617,000. Yeah. Can't remember off the top of my head, but thousands, and we just ignore it effectively. So it's time to stop really ignoring the issue that is men's mental health. Find ways to encourage them to reach out and talk to people if they are struggling, because every person who takes their own life is a lost person to a pretty cool world, and we don't want that.
No. I had a friend that committed suicide way back, like 20 years ago or so, and it was one of those moments that everyone around him had no idea, no absolute clue that he was at that point. Yeah. In fact, it was quite the opposite, and it reminds me of that clip. I don't know if you saw it, but it's that one where there's those two guys watching football, and there's one that's like just outrageous, right? He's pumped up, he's cheering on.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And then the guy that's looking a bit more somber, a bit more stoic, and then the one that was outrageous and cheering everyone on, he was the one that committed suicide, right?
Yeah, and we had something like that when I was back in high school in 2000. I think it was 2009, 2010. We had probably the most popular dude in Dunedin, happiest, most outgoing person, star rugby player, was definitely on the track to play at a professional level. But one day we woke up and he had taken his own life, and it caught everyone off guard, and no one was expecting it whatsoever, and it still impacted a lot of my friends from high school to this day. But I remember his funeral, like the hall was filled. There were people on the streets all there supporting his family and him, because it was just so unexpected. So it's not always going to be the one that you think it is. It could literally be anyone.
No, I mean, maybe that's a good call to action, or a good reminder that, be aware of that,
Yeah.
Especially the ones that are a bit not out of control, but a bit like over the top, pumped up, right? Because it's almost like not a cry for help, but it's a compensation.
Yeah, 100%.
Thing, right?
It's like, hold on, they'll either increase how loud and outgoing they are, or are they trying to say, hey, look at me, I'm struggling with all of these things, I need some help, or just pay attention to the nuanced change in people, I think, is the key one, because you can pick up on it, and it would just be subtle things. You're like, that's not quite right for this person. They've kind of changed their approach.
Yeah. It's, I wonder, I don't know. Because then you also notice how like there's almost a head in the sand approach with it too at some points. And I don't know if that's the right approach either. Yeah,
we're also very quick to let people suffer in silence as well, and not wrap support around and be like, oh, they're just going through something hard, I don't want to be that person to go and support them, when really we should be the ones who do reach out and go, actually, no, most people are going to be like, oh, we'll just leave them to it over there. And just taking that courage to reach out and go, hey, how are you actually doing? I know things might seem hard for you at this point in time. I'm just checking in, and I want to make sure that you know that you've got people here to support you. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a good pivot from Movember just being about prostate cancer or specific, more recognized ailments. So no, it's cool. Yeah, it's very good. It's a positive uplift. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, so, hoping to raise good awareness. I'll be up at the Seeker show later on, second weekend of November. I'm working at the NZ Outdoor magazine promoting this, and the Hunters Element one as well. So yeah, hoping to raise at least 10,000 and see how much further I can stretch it after that as well. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. How long have you been contributing with the magazine? So I started writing for NZ Outdoor magazine late last year. I'd say September, October last year. Yeah. They reached out on social media after I posted some photos of a hunt that I'd been on up in the Central Plateau. And they're like, hey, we'd love to hear the backstory behind this, and started writing for them at that edition. And they enjoyed it. And we're like, cool, we'd love for you to keep contributing to the magazine as we go forward. Carried on, though. They do bi-monthly editions, so every second month there's a new edition out. And then when I announced Project Beyond the Ranges, they were keen to jump on board and help support and push that through their magazine as well. And it's kind of just flowed through this entire year.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wonder where that dynamic will go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm kind of blending two separate worlds that I'm involved in together to try and bring what's relatively siloed communities together, being the hunting community that I'm pretty involved in. Love hunting. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And then the triathlon community that I joined in late 2022 as probably two key passions, and just, finding ways to bring those two worlds together, because I find that they contribute and, what am I trying to say? They help build each other up, I guess, and they, are good for each other. So hunting provides me with exercise, slow endurance, and clean quality food from the meat that I hunt. And then the triathlon complements my hunting by keeping me fit and active, because I can't be out hunting every single weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, they're two quite different cohorts when I think of an average triathlete and an average hunter, if there is averages, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's typically an overlap there.
There's not a huge amount of overlap. There's a lot of people who do running and endurance running and will come and hunt. But I just feel the cycling and the swimming bring me additional benefits to my aerobic capacity when it comes to getting out in the hills. So when I'm out hunting, I don't use helicopters if I don't have to. I'll make sure I walk in even into the big backcountry of the Two Thumb Range rather than taking the easy ride in or out. And it's definitely made it easy to carry those heavy packs for longer Ks.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
What's the hunting like in the South Island specifically? What are the most common animals to hunt?
So common animals for hunting in the South Island would be red deer. So we've got a huge population of them, and you can pretty much find them on any dockland or private land throughout the country. Fallow deer are also pretty common, more often found on private land though. And then we've also got chamois, which are like a goat that live in the mountains. They've got small, wee, curly horns, and they're kind of like a subalpine sort of species, a little bit more localized in where they live. That's kind of like central Canterbury sort of plain, central Canterbury mountains. Thinking like up behind the Rakaia River and the headwaters up there. And we've got my favorite species, which is tahr. Tahr are the Himalayan mountain goats that were pulled out in a pool, and we're pretty much one of the only countries in the world where you can hunt those, and they're pretty damn majestic.
Wow.
I like to describe them as the kings of the mountain. They've got a thick horn that comes to a nice small point at the end. They got a beautiful wee roll to them, and then their capes are thick dark brown throughout, but their chest is quite white through, and they get a really long hair, which is about yay long. It just looks beautiful once you've got them on their couch or somewhere. Yeah, like absolutely stunning creatures. You'll be walking up the riverbed and you look up on the ridgeline way up above you, like 600-800 meters higher than you, over cliffs and everything, and they're just standing up there like absolute kings looking down across the entire valley, and it's just breathtaking to see.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about hunting, right?
Yeah.
And so do you do bow hunting?
Trying to get into it. It's definitely proving difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've taken my bow on a couple of different trips. So far I've gotten a just normal goat up in Kaikoura with it, and a pig down in Southland. So there are a couple of other species we've got floating around. And I've taken it for a few walks this year with no luck. I went out earlier this year tahr hunting with a friend. He had his rifle, I had my bow, and unfortunately we bumped some tahr earlier than we thought, and I just couldn't find a way to get into a position to be able to shoot them with the bow, so I ended up just taking a shot with his rifle instead. Yeah, it's added a whole different dynamic to hunting, but it's something I'm thoroughly enjoying working on, and probably just going to try and catch up with a few more bow hunters to really learn the tricks of the trade from them, rather than going out with rifle hunters while also trying to bow hunt with them. They don't necessarily have the same skill set to be able to really close that distance to within 50 meters of the animal.
Oh, 50 meters. Wow.
Yeah, 50 meters is even pretty long for a bow kill.
Wow.
Some pros will be, trying to get within 20.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you're not triathloning, hunting?
So for my day job, I'm an army officer. So I'm based down here in Burnham. Been in the organisation for about 9-10 years now, and I've specialised in logistics. So early career was spent running the army workshop down in Burnham. So we were responsible for fixing all the vehicles, weapons, radios, and anything soldiers break, which is pretty much everything my soldiers would be able to fix. So it's a pretty rewarding job. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Wow. I don't know too much about the military life, but I imagine they're quite different sectors of community. I guess you've got some that live on the base. Or do all people live on the base, or is it a mix? Or
it's a bit of a mix. So usually when people start their career out relatively young, we'll encourage them to stay in barracks, which means they'll probably get a bedroom about the size of this room, if not slightly bigger. And that will have a bed, drawers, a sink, and somewhere to put their TV and whatnot, and they can just kind of make it their own. And they'll go and eat at an army mess, which is pretty good food that's provided there. It's sometimes not so good. Depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But it's always a hot feed if they want it available, and it doesn't really cost that much. And then most of our bases will have army housing either right next to the base or very close to the base that people can live in as well. And that's provided at a discounted rental market rate because we force people to move around different bases, and we need to be able to provide housing for them if we want them to live in those locations. And then you've got another group of people who will just go and live out in the normal community as well.
Right.
Yeah. They'll buy their own houses or rent or just live off base, really.
Yeah, right. And how does it work with partners? Like if you've got a partner, you're married?
Yep, married. So my wife is also in defence as well. So she's currently retraining to be an Army PTI or physical training instructor. But it works pretty well. Like people who live on base generally can bring their partners in for a little bit, but they're not really allowed to stay overnight.
Oh, yeah.
The housing area is kind of designed for those young couples who may have a family or just starting out as a relationship and they want to live together. They can go and move into that house. They'll get IDs and they can access all the bases, facilities and everything, but they can still just go and work their normal job. And it's pretty family focused in the Army, thankfully.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you have much to do with the other branches like the Navy and the Air Force, or are they pretty siloed?
Most of the time it's pretty siloed, but we do have a lot of overlap as well. So we've got an exercise coming up shortly. We will be working with the Air Force as well. They'll be looking to move us up to Blenheim. And then if we're doing big exercises overseas where we have to take all of our equipment, we'll chuck that into a Navy ship and they'll sail us over as well.
Yeah, right.
More often than not, it's pretty siloed.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. I was just driving past through Wairau earlier in the week.
Yep.
And is that one of the more major bases?
That's our biggest training base. So last year and the year before, I was posted up there helping to run the Army training. So I was what you call a company second in command. So we had 45 staff who would deliver basic training for anywhere between 120 and 160 recruits at any one time. So anyone who's joined the military has gone through Wairau. It's our major training facility, and you'll remember it when you're driving down State Highway 1 on the desert road. You look left and you look right, both to Ruapehu, and then across the road is all Army training area.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
Yeah.
All of the units in Linton will often travel up there to do their exercises as well, because it's the only place in the country where we have enough space to be able to shake out and do big vehicle maneuvers across some pretty gnarly terrain.
Yeah, right.
But it's a pretty cold, depressing place on a good day as well.
So cold, yeah.
Not warm.
Absolutely freezing.
Yeah, there's been many occasions, and I think anyone who's spent time in the Army will remember a time where they've been sitting on sentry at 2, 3 in the morning, looking out at State Highway 1, thinking about the truck drivers in their warm cab, listening to music and eating a hot pie from the Z. So, it's a very different experience. You're sitting in a cold, muddy hole, just waiting for morning to come around.
So interesting. What made you get into the Army to start with?
Something I'd always been interested in doing. I don't actually know what the initial idea was. However, after high school, I was pretty lost when I first left school, won't lie. I wasn't a great high school student, struggled through completing year 13, didn't get NCA level 3 or anything. Left high school, worked at McDonald's, Anderson Bay, Dunedin for a year, making coffee there, which was an experience. And one day I woke up and was like, what am I doing with my life? This is a waste of time. Working in a city at the bottom of the country, just, drinking my money away on the weekends and just having a good time like most 18-year-olds do. So I upped and moved over to Melbourne, Australia, and worked the hospitality industry over there for a few years. And I was heavily involved in scouting throughout my entire childhood as well. While I was over there, my rover leader, which is the oldest section of scouts, He was ex-Canadian military as a workshops Air Force officer, believe it or not. And I remember chatting with him on multiple occasions about how I was interested in joining the Army. And he kind of steered me towards joining as an officer rather than as a soldier, because I often like to be involved in the decision-making at the scout groups that I was involved in. So I'm glad he did that, because had I come back and joined as an infantry soldier, I would have found myself sitting at a smoko table looking at the platoon commanders who are the same age as the officers going, what do I have to do to get into that leadership position?
Yeah.
So I kind of just bypassed those 3 or 4 years for me, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I finished up in Melbourne end of 2015 and started officer training in 2016 back in Wairu.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, that's interesting what you said about that, about like the leadership versus the individuals, right? And it's not like it's a right or a wrong path. It's just like interesting how some people gravitate toward leadership instinctively, or
it's almost like its own trade skill in its own right, being a leader or a boss. In the Army, we're also heavily taught command and decision making and what we call staff planning on how to complete a military objective. So we do get a lot of training in that space. But the soldiers are just as important, because if we didn't have them, we wouldn't really have a job anyway.
That's it.
But they're the trade skill experts. So whether they're in the infantry, if they're medics, if they're vehicle mechanics, signalers, they've all got super detailed trade understanding of their own specific roles that I could never understand. I don't know how to fix a vehicle, but I've looked after 50 guys who know how to fix vehicles. And I guess it forces us to trust our teams and trust their judgment, but also we have to learn enough about it to know when they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. So it really forces us to be able to lead in a different way rather than just trying to manage them and tell them that this is the way you twist a spanner, because it's just simply going to be wrong.
Yeah. I guess there's so many different techniques or strategies around leadership, but I guess that's the crossover between the military and the private sector, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, right? It's just it's the same.
It's just how you implement it is different.
Exactly. Yeah. Different roles and different specific seats that people sit in, but same.
Oh, 100%. Like, we still have performance metrics that we need to be able to achieve. They're just not money driven like the civilian markets that you're probably familiar with. Everything's about how can we increase our return on investment here? How can we steal more market share over here to increase our bottom line? Our focus isn't that. Ours is how can we achieve this effect with the smallest cost? So there's still a cost element there, but it's not focused on how can we return more value. It's how can we achieve something, and what resources do we have available to be able to achieve that effect.
Yeah. I love that that thing I said before, just like the right person in the right seat. Have you seen that much through your career? Like, if you've got someone that's like a really good, competent individual, but they're not quite in the right seat, and then they've moved seats and they've just been epic,
and they've absolutely thrived. It happens all the time. In the military, we get posted every 2 or 3 years into different roles and responsibilities. As officers, that is predominantly to give us a broad exposure across everything the Army has on offer. So when we get into senior management 15, 20 years from now, if I'm still in, we understand what we're asking all of our teams to be able to do and achieve. And I've seen people who aren't necessarily good trade-wise get put into... they're fantastic trade-wise, I'll correct that, super competent at their own job and performing well as a soldier in the infantry or SIGs or the workshop, but we'll thrust them out and try and put them into a training position, and they'll flounder because they haven't had the time to develop their own trade skills in leadership and teaching, and they can either be a help or a hindrance when it comes to that. So we have to find ways to either support and grow them, or acknowledge that they're not the right person for that job and find somewhere else to slot them in where they can excel. And it's really piecing people into areas where they can grow and perform and become better.
I love that. Yeah. I'm a huge proponent for personal and professional growth, and just like, I guess, following what's interesting to you. I think that's where the best results occur, is when someone's either curious about something or wants to engage with it, right? Rather
Oh,
than
100%.
being thrust into something.
And you probably want to find ways that you can reinforce what they enjoy as well, because a good leader will compel or influence their team to achieve a required output in an ethical manner, but you'll also have the buy-in from the team member that they're wanting to do it themselves. So we'll often look at ways of, you've got soldier who loves doing the thing this way. It might be different to how you want to achieve it. However, when you're talking about the end state of what you're trying to achieve with them, you can go, cool, how do you see us getting to here? And they'll might give you something completely left field to what you would have expected. But if it's feasible, achievable, what's the S? I can't remember. We have a saying called FASD. I need to remember what the S and the D are. But if it ticks all of those boxes and it's going to achieve the same outcome, if it's different to the path that you would take, however still achieves it with everything you need, you may as well let them do it, because they're then going to be bought into your plan as well, instead of it being imposed on them. And they'll generally do it to a higher standard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I met a guy the other day that's involved in the reserves, and we're just talking a little bit about the recruitment and just how it's an option for people to consider. And I was like, this is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, we're always hiring, and reserves is a good way for people to get a bit of a taste and an exposure to the defence world and the discipline and the leadership, command, and the trades that we have on offer without having to do it full time as well.
Yeah. It's probably a great opportunity. I remember looking at it years and years and years ago, and I don't know what was the thing that held me back, but maybe that's the pitch, right? If you're thinking about it.
Just come give it a go. Like reserve force, you only have to do 20 days a year. And if you decide, I don't necessarily want to always do this, you can go to a non-active reserve list as well, as where your name's still recorded, but you don't have to attend any training, and that's also okay.
Right.
But you definitely want to come in and do a couple of years experience with those 20 days, training days a year, really understand how the military works, and then you can always just go non-active reserve and carry on with your life as normal. Especially if you're going through a point where you've got a young family, it's a bit hard to get away to do those training days. It's a good opportunity to stay on the books, and then if your life changes in the future, you can always jump back on as well.
Yeah. What's the minimum age for that?
17 and a half. Usually we'll take people at 17 and a half. By the time they're finished all of their training, they'll be 18. So they have to be legal adults, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
We're not really trying to make a child soldier here in New Zealand.
Frowned upon.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Just a small bit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. Yeah. I think, it's one of the curiosities I have. It's just about different parts of the community and how it all works, how everything ties in together. And I think promoting or just talking about these options is really cool,
Yeah, they're definitely. It's something that's probably not widely talked about here in New Zealand.
It's really not. And I think, if you look at America as an extreme example, I'm sure military chat is very, very common, even in general society, right?
Oh, big time. They've just changed the name of the Department of Defence to the Department of War, and they've just fully restructured how they're running all of their things over there, and they're pushing big time to remove a lot of the diversity, equity, and inclusion processes that were in place. They're putting fitness first. They're Pete Hegseth, the Minister of War, or they call them ministers over there. Effectively, the Minister of Defence said, we don't want any more fat generals. You've all got to be able to meet the standard. If I can do hard PT every day, there's no excuse that anyone in our organisation can't do it. So he's trying to impose that onto everyone as well to make it a warfighting organisation stronger and better and able to win in any conflict that they have to go up against in the future. But us in the military, we see a lot of military chat all the time, and we're always paying attention to geopolitics around the world, whereas I don't think the general population really sees it as much as we do, because their Instagram feeds aren't filled with it. We're often following all sorts of update geopolitical pages from around the world. Most people wouldn't be aware that New Zealand government has invested $12 billion over the next 4 years into defence to bring us up to a baseline of 2% of GDP. And the Minister, Judith Collins, said that this is the floor, not the ceiling, and that there's probably going to be a bigger uptick in defence spending in the future as well.
Yeah, right. Where's it mostly going? Is it going into
It's going mostly into Air Force and Navy as our projection fleet, and they run large, expensive platforms effectively. So we need to be able to grow and maintain those platforms. But there's also a lot coming into the Army as well for innovation, new vehicles. A lot of money's getting poured into drones as well, or intended to get put into drones, and then just upgrading a lot of our weapon systems, which have become pretty old and heavy over time as new generations have come out.
Yeah.
And then a lot's going into bringing defence infrastructure up to speed as well. It's been underinvested for at least the last 25, 30 years. So a lot of defence housing is of a very poor standard. They say it's a healthy home standard, but it doesn't quite meet those requirements. On paper it might, but they're still wet, they're still mouldy, they're cold, people get sick in them all the time. The bases haven't had infrastructure upgrades in the longest time, so they're building, they've just finished building a new $50 million workshop here in Burnham that, if I'm lucky, I'll be the next boss of in the next couple of years. They're just about to finish a new health and wellness facility as well, and they're redoing all of the pipes and infrastructure in the camp at the moment as well. So lots of roadworks and everything going on out there at the moment, but it's good to see money finally being poured into defence.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that typically a normal ratio, that 2%?
It's a targeted ratio expected from NATO. They try and push everyone to get 2%. That the new talk seems to be 5% is what the US is trying to push everyone else to do, but it just seems to be a pretty even target across the board. New Zealand for the last 10 years has been sitting around 0.8 to 1.2, so well under that 2%, and it's definitely showing.
Yeah, I never used to understand military and like why it's even required, but I came across some YouTube video from Ray Dalio. Have you come across him?
Yeah, no, Ray Dalio.
Have you seen his animated stuff?
I've seen some of it, yeah.
It's hugely interesting.
Yeah.
And just how the balance of power shifts and just the requirements for it.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So we contribute to a whole lot of different missions around the world, and a lot of people are like, the New Zealand Army or the New Zealand Defence Force doesn't really do anything, or we don't need it. But what they don't see firsthand is when we're providing peacekeeping and stability in Egypt and Israel and those parts of the world, we're protecting our own shipping lanes that have access to the European markets, to the UK, to America. Anything that goes through the Suez Canal is protected. We have naval assets over there doing anti-piracy around the Horn of Africa because those are major shipping lanes. And if those places get interdicted or they change hands, it then shuts off pipelines to bring resources into New Zealand, and then we get inflation here in New Zealand and it gets a lot more expensive to live.
Yes.
So New Zealand the military provides a firm but soft approach to be able to contribute to global security, which then enhances or enables trade to New Zealand at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good way to consider it, right? Because you would see some people on one hand being like, why do we need this, right?
Yeah.
If you were to look at the extreme ends, right? You got one perspective, which is more, right?
Yeah.
And then the other end, which is the extreme, like, no,
we don't want any at all.
Nothing. We don't need that.
Yeah, and it definitely has to come to a fine balancing act. You can't be an 80% militarized country and be able to provide a good quality of life for your people. You'll wind up like North Korea. People will argue that you can have no military and provide a great quality of life for your people, and they'll use the Scandinavian countries or Iceland, for example, as super happy, friendly countries to live in. But they forget that the Scandinavian countries have very large militaries. We often get compared to Finland for size, but they border with Russia and they spend a lot on their military because of that. But then when you look at Iceland, they may not have a military and they're very happy. What they do have is protection from the US, protection provided by the United States of America. So when you got them behind you, you can pretty easily go, cool, we don't need a military. However, there are only 200,000 or 300,000 people living on an island compared to the 5 million that we're here in New Zealand.
Oh, wow, is that small?
Yeah, it's really, really tiny.
Wow, and they've got no military at all?
Not at all. So that's guaranteed by the United States.
Ah, right. Is that because of their
geopolitical
size and their
size and geopolitical location. And there was a bit of talk about Greenland and Denmark last year or early this year when Donald Trump came into presidency about him wanting to take over Greenland. Everyone was like, why does the US want Greenland? When you look at it from a like world map perspective, it doesn't make sense because we kind of look at it long ways across, United States here and Russia's here. But when you look at it top down with the Arctic as a center point, it's like a perfect crossing point between Russia and the United States, and it's actually not that far to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It sort of went away, didn't it, that chat?
It disappeared really quickly.
Real quick.
Don't know why, but it was hot for quite a while.
Sure there's a reason, right?
Yeah, something else happened, surely.
Yeah. Do you watch much military stuff on YouTube? Or are you not down that vortex?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, when things are happening, I definitely watch a lot of it.
Yeah.
Just to try and help grow my own understanding of what's going on. And then sometimes I find myself too deep into what's going on, and I just pretty much cold turkey myself to remind myself that it's not my entire life and I can do other things.
Have some healthy boundaries.
Yeah, you've got to. It's very, very easy for us in the military, for our entire world to become the military and forget that we actually serve a bigger community, which is our entire country. So if I find myself always just watching military things or YouTube about, what some random YouTuber on the other side of the world thinks about a certain conflict, and then watch like another 5, it's like, cool, I'm probably overly focusing on this.
Yes.
There's more to life than that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I've got a few that randomly seem to pop up on my feed, more around the technology space and just what's out there, what's emerging. I just find it weirdly interesting. Not sure why, but there's some really great quality content on there. Just communicating new technology and what's going on.
The rapid change in technology and what was common 10 years ago, 5 years ago, to what we have now in warfare has completely changed the game. When you look at what's going on in Ukraine, the way the war is being fought from day one of the invasion to how they're doing it now is completely different. You're talking back then, Ukraine was defending through primarily like conventional defense weapon systems like the Javelin missiles, tanks, all those sorts of things. Whereas nowadays it's pretty much back to World War I trench warfare. But instead of just lining up and shooting at each other in trenches, they're using drones, and each side you've got a unit of, say, 500 to 1,000 people, and at any one time over top of that, it's probably 150, 200 drones. 1/3 of those being Ukrainian, the rest being Russian, and completely different dynamic. You can't move by day, you can't move by night because all these drones have thermal cameras on them, so they'll pick up your heat signature. So how do you counter that heat signature? It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
In a terrible way.
Well, those low-ish cost devices versus the hugely expensive traditional equipment.
When you got a first-person FPV drone worth,
$1,000.
call it $2,000 when you've strapped the explosives to it, taking out a T-90 tank worth multiple $1 million, that trade-off isn't very good.
It's insane, right?
Yeah, and that will force military commanders to really shield their assets to achieve best use. Makes it so much harder.
And then the electronic part of it as well, right? Like the jamming and the way that...
Yep, so the early drones in the war were all just flying by remote control, and then the signalers or the electronic warfare guys were able to figure out how to jam the different frequencies and make them drop out of the sky. So what that then led to was them attaching fiber optic cables to the drones and flying them forward so they couldn't be interdicted by electronic warfare.
Wow.
And these things, some of them will have 20, 30K of fiber optics behind them and flying them that far forward. Yeah. Because it'll also provide power to the drone, so it can just pretty much go forever. They can land it on the ground next to a vehicle road, but keep the camera on and just wait for a vehicle to come past. They'll fly it up and then fly it into the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah. And now you've got footage showing pretty much forests over in Ukraine, which look like they're covered by spider webs because of the amount of fiber optics that have been flown over them.
Wow.
And then the drone gets destroyed, and then the cable obviously just drops and is now just more war salvage. But there's that many of them, they're just draped all over these forests and everywhere. It's just another mess.
Man, where are we heading, I wonder?
Yeah, not somewhere great.
No.
Hopefully not.
And then you look at the way that sort of China's spending so much on infrastructure and, where's that going to go?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
We all have faint ideas. Chinese expansion definitely want to test the US as a superpower in the world, but we don't actually want it to turn into full warfare because it'll likely result in a nuclear war and pretty much the end of the planet as we know it. Yeah, that'll be a very different world for us to live in if that does happen.
Yeah, I met a guy yesterday from Taiwan, and we were just talking about what the country of Taiwan is currently like. He was back recently-ish, and yeah, my curiosity again, right? Like, what is it like? Is it, is there anything weird or is it abnormal? But apparently not.
He's just like, yeah, we just live in
day to day, business as usual, almost. There's definitely some restrictions around entry and exit, but for the most part, it's pretty normal.
Yeah, crazy. Such a weird dynamic between Taiwan and mainland China and how all that goes back through history. I haven't looked into it too much, but it's still pretty crazy to think that the whole country used to be run by the Taiwanese government, and then the communists came through and took over the entire mainland and forced the democratic government out to Taiwan, and that became the democratic Chinese stronghold effectively, and the Communist Party took over mainland China and is now turned into the superpower that it is today. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're good at making semiconductors.
Fantastic at
randomly.
Yeah, don't know why. Lucrative industry though.
I guess it's just one person, ultimately, right?
Yep.
Usually.
One or two build the factory, and then we'll just get workers in to make sure that it all ticks along okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Aussie stuff as well. It's all just an interesting time we're living in.
Yeah, it is interesting.
I guess sometimes the future can be predicted somewhat by the past. If you look back to see, again, that Ray Dalio content just explaining how power shifts and how things are a pendulum. And
yeah.
Yeah.
But they reckon if we don't have a massive world war in the next 50 years, we'll be well on the path to world peace. Because if you look right back through history, a couple of thousand years back, there's always been major conflicts which have resulted in the Earth's population dropping substantially, even as human numbers have trended up over that time. There's always been major conflicts every century, or a couple of times every century. Even last century, we had World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all of those other small wars. While we still have plenty of wars going on today and lots of people dying, the intensity and frequency is trending down. So as long as we stay on that slow, gradual downward trend, the world will always have bad people and there'll be bad things going on. If we can stay away from massive world conflict, then we are most likely on a path to proper world peace. So hopefully it continues on that trend.
Yeah, it would be nice.
It would be.
Is it unrealistic? Who knows?
Who knows? But it's something we definitely miss here in New Zealand, being at the bottom of the world, because we're so far away from everything. And if global conflict does kick off, we won't be the first country to be invaded. China will be very much focusing on a battle in the United States, and we'll be an afterthought later on if they do ever win that. But they are very much trying to establish dominance through the South China Sea and through the Pacific Island nations, because that can increase their own trade relations. Yeah. It's a weird one for us because they're our biggest trading partner.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think New Zealand is, especially if people haven't travelled, it's pretty easy, cruisy.
Big time.
Compared to other places in the world. We've got it pretty good.
Yeah, it's expensive to live here. Compared to most other countries in the world, it is expensive. However, the quality of life that we get with that and the freedoms that we have far outweigh the cost of living here, in my mind at least. No other country in the world can I go hunting on the weekend with a free permit and shoot as many animals as I want. I don't go out there and blow out 50 animals in a weekend. Might take one, maybe two. But just to be able to go and do that, compared to even the United States, we have to buy a permit or a tag for a specific part of the year, and you're only allowed to hunt during that time of year. And then the rest of the year it's closed season. I can go to it any weekend I want. They can't. Nowhere else in the world has the freedom we have here, realistically.
Totally. Yeah. We've in national parks in America, you got to pay to go to some of them.
Yeah.
We've got free access for the most part.
Well, that's starting to change.
Is it? Yeah, I did hear that.
I think they're looking at charging tourists at least entry into our national parks, but I don't know how they're going to police that as well.
That's a good question.
Because over in the States and Canada and all those other countries, they've got booths where you have to drive through before you're even allowed to get into them. So no doubt we'll probably start seeing some of those as well.
Yeah. You've travelled to a few different places.
Yeah.
You got a favourite?
Oman.
Oman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah. It's a different country. Not many people even know where it is on a map. So Oman is on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. It's right next to the United Arab Emirates on kind of that horn across the ocean from Iran. Super strategic place geopolitically as well, because it controls a lot of oil flow into the Gulf of Oman, and that sea. And it used to be a British colony for a short period of time as well. They got sick of the United Arab Emirates way back at some point in history and kicked them out to make them their own country. And I think it was like 5 or 10 years later, the UAE found oil and then turned into the booming economy that we know.
Right.
Oman also found oil not long after, slightly longer after, and super wealthy country as well now. And they're a third sect of Islam. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they're kind of like the peace brokers in the area between Saudi Arabia, Iran, and a whole lot of other countries, similar to Qatar as well. Qatar's not the same sect as Oman, but same sort of thing. They like to negotiate and try and maintain peace in that part of the world. But what I really liked about the country is kind of felt like home, but in the Middle East, there were no outrageous 50-story gold buildings like you get in the Middle East or in the UAE. They're all very humble, aesthetically pleasing Arabic architecture, but there was nothing taller than 10 stories, and it all had to be designed in traditional Arabic ways. The capital city of Muscat is a sprawling city that goes around the base of some mountains, and then up on the top around the entire city you've got all these beautiful old forts from thousands of years ago or 1,000 years ago overlooking the city. And you can very much tell that as a country that's really proud of its history and where it belongs in the world. Yeah, slow life, wealthy, but yeah, they don't flaunt it like the rest of the Middle East as well.
How is it from a tourism perspective?
Really good, really easy to get around. So we flew into Muscat. I went there to do a half Ironman. The people were super friendly. They were super helpful. We rented a bike from a bike shop there for me to do the race, and we were just chatting with people in the bike shop and like, do you guys know anywhere good to get coffee? And this lady drove us. She's like, yeah, follow me. I'll show you where this coffee shop is. Drove us around to that, and yeah, best coffee I've had in a long time there.
Wow.
After having Egyptian coffee or like lower quality coffee in Egypt, I was blown away at the level of this coffee. But just really cool sights as well. Like you can go swimming with sea turtles. They've got Wadi Sham, which is a like valley river that you can walk up. And as you walk up, it slowly starts to have water coming through it. And at the very top, there's like a small portion that you can swim in, and you can dive down through this crystal clear blue water and swim through like almost a cave. Wow. You can shoulder squeeze through if you want to and keep your head above water. And it's like a big open water hole where you can't quite touch the bottom. It's got a waterfall coming down into it, and it's absolutely stunning.
Wow.
I climbed up through that, and then on the other side, I looked up across this valley, and it just looked like something out of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. And then inland, they have the old city, or the old historical center of the country. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me right now, unfortunately. But it's got a huge, the old capital Nizwa. It's got a huge big fort that's over 1,000 years old that they've brought back up to life because it had started to deteriorate over time, and just absolutely stunning. It was in the base of these three valleys that all kind of funneled in together, and it talked about the history of the land and everything. So yeah, amazing country to go and visit if you ever get the chance.
And they do a half iron.
They do. They've got 2 separate races actually. So they've got the half Ironman Muscat, which is the one that I raced in 2023 as my first half Ironman. And then the other one is Ironman, 70.3 Salalah, which is down on the east coast. And that's like the second largest city. Haven't been there yet. Heard only good things. It's super green, luscious town, which is not something you'd pick for the Middle East. No. But yeah, just apparently it's an absolutely beautiful place to go and visit.
So interesting. And so the people that are doing the races over there, are they generally tourists, or are they locals, or a combination?
There's definitely a combination. So there'll be people like me who want to go and do it and experience it. There's a large triathlon scene in Oman itself, and an even bigger one in the United Arab Emirates as well. So I want to say, what's the name of the city's forgotten me. What's the other big city in the UAE? Not
Dubai.
Not Dubai, the other one. Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, yeah.
Abu Dhabi is one of the biggest hubs for triathlon in the world.
Really?
Yep. So they've got multiple triathlon clubs there. And they often hold World Series races as well. So a lot of those countries will travel to go and do these other races to get entry into the World Championship races around the world as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a friend that just did the South Korea Ironman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Good on them. How'd they do?
Yeah, good, I think.
Sweet.
Yeah, just seeing a few stories, but totally random country to do one.
Yeah.
I quite like the excuse of using a race to go travel somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of picked up from it as well. And it's like, I want to go see all these cool countries. It's like, how can I tie this into keeping myself fit as well? And it's like, I just, we'll go do an Ironman over here and then spend a week exploring sort of thing.
Yeah.
And my wife seems pretty keen on doing that in the future. So hopefully I can start doing a bit more of that.
Continuing triathlons or getting into more different events, or?
I'll probably stick with triathlon. A lot of people know we've got the coast to coast here in New Zealand, which is from the west coast of the South Island to the east coast in Christchurch. But it means I have to pick up another hobby, which would be kayaking, which there's another couple of $1,000 entry fee and another discipline that I have to train myself in. So I've very much parked that for now, and I kind of just want to focus on triathlon, and hunting is like my two main hobbies, and just get really good at both of those instead of continuing to branch out into lots of new hobbies as I've been doing for most of my life.
Right. Yeah.
Just trying to contain myself a little bit and become a whole lot better at those.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's saying you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Correct. Yeah. And so I'm having to hold myself to that as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know if an Ironman is on my goal list. It's not currently, but there is some curiosity there.
It's always a good one to know if you can actually push yourself through it. So a full Ironman will take you 12 to 16 hours. The time cap is 17 hours off the top of my head. You can get through that eventually.
It's a long day.
It is a long day. But with the right training, anyone can do it. And it's a good goal a lot of people do set themselves, and they might just do it the once and that's okay. And others will get hooked to it and make it their entire personality.
Yeah. It's like that meme, right? Guys over a certain age.
Yeah.
Choose one of these obsessions.
Yeah.
Triathlon, barbecuing, craft beer, etc.
And you're like, sometimes I look at those and I'm like, I am all of those.
I've done all of them.
Yeah, I was like, that is me to a T, all of them. I guess it's not just one.
Yeah. I did a sprint triathlon once. That's the only one I've done, and humbling, very humbling. The swim especially.
The whole thing is humbling. Like, you think you're a really fit person, and then you go to a triathlon, and you're like, I am not fit. The actual people who've been doing it for a long time, or the semi-pros or the pros, will just blow you out of the water, and you're like, hold on, what? I thought I was reasonably fit. I did try Tauranga about this time last year. I think it was maybe November, and Hayden Wild was in the race. And for anyone who doesn't know Hayden, he's probably the number one triathlete in the world at the moment. He's Kiwi-born, based out of somewhere in Europe, but he's an absolute weapon, currently cleaning up the T100 triathlon series after a 6-month recovery from a major crash in Japan where he broke 2 or 3 ribs, punctured his lungs, and absolutely wrecked himself, and has come back and has won every single T100 race over in Europe since.
Wow.
He's just absolutely cleaning the floor. But this race in Tauranga, I thought I was doing really well. I just done my fastest swim yet in a race, over 1,500 meters, that I was really happy with. Got out of the water, was on my first lap of 3 on the bike, and he was just finishing his 3rd lap of the 3 laps. I was like, this guy's insanely quick. Just watching him absolutely rocket past me. And then he was playing with the guy in 2nd place on the run. I obviously didn't see this because I was still just blowing ass on the bike. But he played with him on the run for a bit and then left him with about a K to go and just easily won. And then he proceeded to go and run another 10K just to cool down. So he finished in half the time that I took to do the entire race, and I'd consider myself reasonably fit. Wow. But like, looking at what the best in the world is like, mind-blowing. He's got a 27-minute 10K from the top of my head, 27 something, and the world record is in the 26s. It's like, these guys are fit.
Yeah, did the Christchurch Marathon this year, and it was a 4-loop circuit.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing was being able to see the elite competitors running around. And
It'd be crazy, right?
it's always crazy to me when you get on the treadmill and you try to experiment with paces
Yeah.
and what they're doing the whole race in, how you can't even handle 20 seconds.
It's like they're holding a 250 1K pace for 42K, and you're like, I'm dying at less than a K.
It's mind-blowing, right?
Yeah. It's humbling. You're like, okay, cool. These pros are on another level.
It's both humbling and then also encouraging and aspirational as well.
Yeah.
I think it depends on which lens you look at it.
Yeah. I personally try to use it as an aspirational lens, and like, cool, if they can achieve it, if I can get 80% or 60% of the way there, I'm going to be very well off compared to the general population as well. And hopefully that gives me a long, healthy life as the end goal realistically.
Same. Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's interesting, the whole 4-minute mile thing, isn't it? You know, thinking back to when that metric got broken.
First time, like, it was impossible. No one could ever do it. Got broken. And now hundreds of people have done it.
Common practice. Yeah.
Super common. And now you've got new challenges like the 500-pound back squat in sub 5-minute mile in the same day challenge, which was set by Dave Castro many years ago from the CrossFit industry. He's like, no one will ever be able to do this. And then you kind of had at the same time the hybrid athlete approach emerging, and you had a couple of people train up for it permanently. And I think it took 2 or 3 years for someone to achieve it. But then you had about 3 people complete it in quick succession, and 2 were brothers out of Scotland, Fergus Crawley, and I can't remember his brother's name, but they just absolutely decimated. It was like, these guys are impressive. That guy Fergus then went on to do a 1,200-pound total power lift, so squat, bench, and dead. So I think he benched like 140, squatted about 180 or 200, and then deadlifted 240 from the top of my mind. And then did a sub 12-hour Ironman in the same day. And for anyone who's done an Ironman, sub 12 is the goal that most people will aim for. And sadly, a lot will fall short of that goal as well and probably be 13, 14 hours. So to be able to do both of those events in the same day, insane. And then last year or the year before, I found a doctor out of the United States who is a pediatrician, but also kind of on the hybrid bandwagon. And he was going for sub over 1,200 pounds total lift as well. I think he hit 1150 and then did a sub 10-hour Ironman. So he's flirting with professional times on the Ironman length as well, which was just insane. Like, if these guys can balance full-time careers as doctors, run a highly successful social media campaign while raising a family and training for all these things, you're like, what am I actually doing with my life?
Again, aspirational or humiliating? I don't know.
Yeah. Aspirational.
Aspirational.
Always aspirational, yeah.
Agreed.
It's impressive. Like,
totally agree. Yeah, I think that often if I'm having a challenging day or whatever, right, and it's like, far out, if I can't even manage one team member and my own personal schedule, like, what am I up to, right?
Yeah.
Elon's sending people to Mars.
You're like, cool. Aspirational.
Aspirational, exactly.
He's not only sending people to Mars, he's created the largest fleet of self-driving cars in the world. He's created a company that is able to build tunnels anywhere they want. He's developed a company that has the ability to provide paraplegics who can't move their limbs the ability to move limbs or robotic things. Like, it's pretty impressive, the things that he's done. Like, if you look at how he's structured his companies, in isolation, they all look really, really random, but they're all tailored towards creating life on Mars and autonomy on Mars, because there's no fossil fuels on Mars. We need to be able to drive around. So he's got electric vehicles that have solar charging capabilities that can be shipped over there. He's built humanoid robots that can build things for us in Mars. The first habitats are probably going to have to be underground. So we've got a company that is dedicated to digging underground. You can fly that stuff over. And then he built a company to get everything there.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely an outlier. I guess he's...
Yeah. I understand why people find him challenging He's very outspoken and can be a bit weird in his approach sometimes. But if you're achieving what he's achieving, it's hard to bet against him.
Yeah, I think the reality is that if you are in that league of person, you're not going to be normal, right?
No.
You're probably not going to be relatable. You're probably not going to want to go and have beers and hang out and be a good time. Like,
Yeah, it's not at all. But what's cool about him is he will become fully invested in the problem and work with the teams on the ground to try and find the solution rather than being that managing director who's not involved at the coalface. He'll put himself there and he'll sleep on the factory floor until they can solve the solution. And then once that's done, he'll then pivot and fully focus on the next problem. And you don't see many bosses who do that these days. They'll kind of just float in and out and just not be fully invested in trying to find the solution.
So to me, that's leadership.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good leadership.
Big time. But he does work his teams hard, and because of that, I do know, from what I've heard at least, that a lot of his companies will have higher turnover than normal because of it, because people can't keep up with the pace for a sustained period.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
But yet, I think a small subsector will thrive in it. They'll love it.
Yeah.
And they'll absolutely do amazing things.
Who knows?
But, right person, right seat. I use that saying a lot. And it's no different than Elon's companies. It's going to be for a small group, but those people are going to absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting, the amount of people that I get disliking the Tesla, potentially because of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Potentially because it's different. I don't know, but it's a really divisive vehicle.
It is, and it shouldn't be, because it's what most people want, which is a clean green vehicle that has no emissions and is providing them with a safe vehicle to get around. But because of who is making it and the fact that he's become overly political recently, is you now see people driving around with Teslas that say, with a sticker that says, "I bought this before I knew he was crazy."
I've seen those.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. It's like, yeah, he's probably a little bit crazy, but like you said, anyone at that level is probably going to be a bit crazy, and that's what has made his company successful as well, and will continue to, I reckon.
Yeah. It really does tick most boxes when you say it. Like the vehicle. It's efficient to run. Its technology is great. Drives itself now.
Yeah.
It's fast. Like, what more do you want?
Not much.
Not much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what could you really want more from it? Cheaper ones? Yeah, sure. Batteries that don't degrade, I'm pretty sure they've developed a 1,000,000-mile battery. Like,
Totally.
cool.
Yeah. Again, back to YouTube. There's some great Tesla/Elon content on there.
Oh, yeah.
The Tesla Space, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Seen that one?
Tesla Space. There's a guy who pretty much permanently talks about what Tesla's doing and how the stock's performing and what they're going to achieve in the future. There's huge industry or lots of channels around the SpaceX stuff and the stuff that they're doing with Starship. And I remember starting watching those in 2019 when it was still very much a concept. And now you've got, I think we're coming up to the 7th or 8th launch of Starship probably next week in early October, where they're aiming for a fully reusable launch. I think they're going to try and land the ship back at the launch pad, which is impressive in its own, because no one else has been able to create a semi-reusable rocket, launch and land it, if you don't count the suborbital Blue Origin one. Yet they're about to do it for a second time with the largest spaceship in the world, but make it fully reusable. Like, that's insane.
Especially given the size of it.
It's huge. It's like 150, 160 meters total length or height, I guess.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen that Rocket Lab product?
Yes, though their next one is the Electron rocket, which is a semi-reusable one. So the first stage has like a clamshell opening at the top that the second stage will launch out of. And then that first stage will travel back to Earth and land, which is pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool to come out of New Zealand.
It is. It's just a shame we don't have the industry here to be able to launch that rocket in country. So we're only launching their smaller one, which is the Neutron, up on Cape Whirianga,
Yeah.
So we can only launch a smaller one here because we don't have the infrastructure and facilities to produce enough liquid oxygen for them to launch those bigger rockets here.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And there's no way to do it at scale currently.
Not without huge investment, and then you'd only have one customer, which is them. So it probably makes it a little bit hard, whereas the US has the industry for them to be able to do that properly.
Another downside of 5 million people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 million capable people, though. We punch well above our weight.
There is some exceptional, business technology things happening now, it seems.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a while for that to spin up to be great for our country, but it's definitely, we're on the right trajectory, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the shower the other day looking at this shampoo that Emily got, and I'm like, kind of looks like a Zuru product. Look at the back.
It is?
Sure enough. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And so, love it or hate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you could look at it from the lens of like, blah, 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 plastic, China, blah, 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 right? But like massive business.
Huge.
And
you can't knock them for being big businesses. They've got to do something successful to get there.
so impressive.
If you disagree with it, go into competition with them and see if you can beat them. That's my view on it.
Yeah. No,
People complain about things all the time. Like, do it better yourself.
100% agree. Yeah. So, to see someone like Zuru come out and create more wealth than any legacy, billionaire in New Zealand, it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. So I think it's just going to get easier and easier. I think we're going to hear more and more stories like this as the playing field gets a bit more leveled.
Yep.
With accessibility to tech, and I think there's just less barriers now.
Yeah.
There's
And
smaller minimum runs of product. There's easier tooling. There's just more accessibility.
everything's becoming more customizable, cheaper to get into. And then once you're in the business and you've started to create some revenue, cool, crack on. And now it's just how you're going to market your product and grow your market share effectively.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, even looking at products like this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how old they are. I think they may be around 10 years old or so.
Yeah.
But
Not that old.
Not that old, no.
Everywhere nowadays.
Yeah.
And really tasty.
Really tasty. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they
Yeah. Made in New Zealand. How good.
How good?
Yeah.
What do you think will happen in a year's time if we're sitting down here? Any predictions?
In a
This is
year's
something I quite like to do. The time capsule effect.
Well, that's a good one. In which context?
Any. Take your pick. Travel, work, society, technology.
I think a year's election time for New Zealand. I reckon we're going to be a more divided country as we go into the next election, unfortunately, and we're probably going to see another government similar to the one that we currently have, be it a Labour-led coalition with 3 parties or a national-led one with 3 parties. There's a lot of discontent around the current government, and I think that's only going to grow unless we start seeing real economic change for everyday New Zealanders, unfortunately. So, yeah.
That's one prediction.
Yeah, I reckon that'll happen. Globally, I'm hoping we stay at peace as well. That'll probably have to be led more heavily by the US trying to create peace in the Middle East again and finding ways to try and de-escalate the conflict in Ukraine, being our 2 fronts. But I think you're going to see more posturing from the United States to try and deter the Chinese from trying to push into the South China Sea and Taiwan to try and protect their own assets because they've got so much money invested in that part of the world. So without slightly more aggressive posturing from the US, I think you will see China trying to influence and dominate in that area a whole lot more. Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty aggressive currently though, wouldn't you say?
Yes and no.
I guess they could get more.
Yeah, they can get a lot more.
Yeah.
They're not in with guns and shooting and stuff yet.
No.
They're just presence patrolling. We'll probably see a Chinese naval fleet come through our waters again or near our waters again in the next 12 months as they try and show a force to predominantly Australia. That yes, they can sail down to this part of the world and it'll become a more common thing.
Yeah, what is the rule around the international water? Is it 200 miles?
Yeah, the New Zealand Economic Zone is one of the largest in the world because we've got a large coastline, but then it pushes out to the Chatham Islands and a lot of the islands down south as well, which extend our nautical waters a lot. So that as long as they're staying out of those waters, they're fine, and it doesn't reach all the way to Australia, and Australia's doesn't reach all the way to us. So there's a good chunk of sea that they can come down through.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the same as China and Taiwan, isn't there? There is a gap channel in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what everyone goes and sails through to assert dominance and say that we can sail through this, and we have the right of international waters to be able to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen that conflict or that stuff with the US and the cartels?
Yeah, that's
crazy, right?
That's an interesting one. You could argue it's good. You could argue it's bad because you're now potentially invading South American countries. But if the number one addiction in the United States right now is fentanyl, and that's coming out of these countries, should they be doing something to protect their people from these drugs?
Don't know.
You argue it both ways, right? Like,
totally.
Yeah, people have the freedom to take illegal drugs, but should the government be protecting their people from things that are harming them and causing their own people to get sick and die?
Big questions.
Huge questions. And I know which way I lean. I'd rather my people protected, safe, living a healthy life. How you do that legally is the question.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing that boundary, it seems. Meaning, like, I think they're already going in there, right?
I don't know if they're in Venezuela itself. I do know that they're targeting drug ships in international waters, and they've done multiple strikes on them already. I think they're trying to send clear messages because no drug cartel could go up against the US military and win. We say that then the Taliban did pretty well over a long time horizon. However, yeah, I think if they can deter them enough to reduce or stop the amount of runs that they're doing, we may see positive effects in 5-10 years' time as well of drug use in the United States going down, which is really what we do want. We don't want people struggling with addiction, not being able to contribute to society or lead healthy lives, becoming homeless. These aren't things anyone should actually want.
No.
We should really want our people to live fulfilled, happy, engaged lives where they have a roof over their head. They're not struggling with money because everything they're doing is to try and fund their drug addiction.
Totally.
If they can become happy, integrated members of society who also are productive, it only becomes better for the country. And it's that whole, we're forcing people, or they're trying to force people to become better versions of themselves in there. It's tough, but it's for their own good approach, I guess, is what the United States is trying to have because they do care about their people.
Yeah. Such a deep topic, right? Like with drugs and homelessness and way above my pay grade.
Me too. Me too. But
and maybe everyone, to be fair. I mean, it doesn't seem like the problem's been solved, or I don't know if it's been curbed, or if it's, I don't know.
It was pretty bad over there, though. When you look at videos of the homeless camps throughout the United States, you're like, I don't think people should be living like this.
No.
I don't think putting them into homeless facilities and providing them free accommodation is the right solution either. But I think finding ways to get them off the street, get them into some sort of employment, get them out of an addictive mindset with the drugs that they're taking, because it usually snowballs through those, and find them housing and jobs and everything and put them onto a right path. I think that is a good way to approach it rather than just letting them fester on the streets, because they are still part of your country and they are your people. You should treat them like your brothers and sisters.
The crazy thing is that a lot of them are actually homeless by choice. When I lived in Canada, when I was in Vancouver, there was an area of town, I think it was East Hastings or West Hastings. It was one...
West. It's right next to the big shopping centre over there, which has like all the really expensive brands in it.
Yeah.
Walk around the corner and it's just like homeless central.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like it's totally insane.
Yeah. Caught me off guard.
It's, as you say, it's right next to the luxury area and it's like a third world country.
Yeah.
But we had a friend that they were like a, nice family in that, but like they had a brother that was homeless by choice. And it sort of opened my eyes to the fact that it's not necessarily a logical reason why people are homeless.
Yeah.
It's not for lack of opportunity or lack of support. It's just a decision that some people make.
He's like, it's cheaper for me to live in a tent on the street, shower at the gym and go to work.
Or just rebel, or I don't know. There's a lot of, again, deeper issues above what I can understand, but
far too complex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Therefore, there's no real easy solution, or
What can you do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeez, we've covered some ground today.
We have, yeah. No,
Mental
thank you very
health.
much. Yep, there's a big one. It's big for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the race is coming up.
Yep, looking forward to that. It's going to be cold and hard, but if people want to follow along, I'm posting about it regularly on my Instagram page as well.
Amazing.
If they want to support, they can jump on that through to my Movember fundraiser page.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
And feel free to donate.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll accelerate the posting of this so that it's launched in time for it.
Cool. Thank you very much.
The content you make is cool. It's very good. Yeah, I love it.
Hard.
That one that you posted with what blew off into the lake that you went and got?
Blew off into the lake.
That swim, and was it Lake Linden?
Lake Linden, was this yesterday or a few weeks ago?
No, ages ago.
Oh, yeah. That was the first snow of the season last year, and there was some kids playing with sleds, and they were sledding down the hill near the lake, and then they let it go, and it slipped down the hill and floated out into the lake, and I was going for a swim. So I swam out in Lake Linden, which had snow down to the lake level at this point in the year. Went in, swam out about 800 meters, got it for them and swam it back to them. And by the time I got back, I was like, oh, it's actually pretty cold because I've now gotten out of the water. Yeah. That was a cool experience.
Yeah. The content's definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's on your, is that public Instagram?
Yeah, that's a public Instagram.
Nice. Yeah, so good. Sweet, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
No, thank you very much
Very
for having
interesting
me.
chat.
As always.
Awesome having you on the show.
No,
and
thank you.
I'll see you back next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.